Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and we have the tank baby in the living room here with us. We've distracted her with the tablet, so you're going to hear some Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood playing. And yes, that is the level of professionalism you can expect from the Toshio Thunder channel. Now, last night I was working on my Dragon Disciple build, and I've found, and this is sort of a carryover from my copious amounts of experimentation during my teenage years, careful now, with Neverwinter Nights. And that game introduced the Dragon Disciple class to me, and it's mostly unchanged in this iteration of the beautiful D20 role-playing game that is Pathfinder Kingmaker. Beautiful, but with some warts under the surface. But man, 50-50, it's a good game. 50-50, that means at 50 miles per hour or 50 feet away. It's totally gorgeous. Now, taking a look under the hood here, you see that this character is nice custom portrait there. She's looking a little pouty, so that kind of reminds me of my own wife. She has that pretty red hair she wears up when she's working too. She's a cutie. Anyway, we ended up taking 6 levels of Sorcerer. We started with 5 levels of Sorcerer, went into Dragon Disciple for 4 levels, full Eldritch Knight for 10 levels, and we needed to pick up martial weapon proficiency for that. So let's get into how specifically to do the build. 5 levels of Sorcerer, put points into Knowledge Arcana so that you can start taking levels of Dragon Disciple. At level 6, start taking Dragon Disciple for 4 levels, so you have 5 levels of Sorcerer, 4 levels of Dragon Disciple. Somewhere in there you need to pick up martial weapons proficiency, and I recommend doing that by selecting the feat at one of your levels. It's just a lot more efficient than taking a level in a fighter class, because we're keeping our spellcaster level up. Eldritch Knight is going to lose you 1 spellcaster level, and Dragon Disciple is going to lose you 1 spellcaster level. And we'll get into that in a little bit, in just a moment. So take full Eldritch Knight, and that is so that we can get this really neat feature called Spell Critical. It's very interesting. When you critically hit, you get... I gotta get this right. When you critically hit, the next spell you cast, if you cast it within the next 2 rounds, is quickened, as with the Quicken meta magic. So that means that you can cast a quickened level 8 spell. Why do I say level 8? Because we do not quite have access to level 9 spells yet. We need to buff our charisma a bit before we can cast those, but with some gear we can do that. And I don't have any offensive level 8 spells at this time, although I could probably empower something or maximize tar pool. That could be interesting. A level 9 tar pool, that would be intimidating as heckums. Okay, so anyway, that's the how to build the character. You really don't need I should say, sorry, I'm stumbling a bit over my words here. You have a lot of freedom when it comes to your feats, and you can see that we focused on strength. So we started with an 18 charisma, and we dropped our wisdom down to accommodate that. Intelligence we chose to leave at 10, and we ended up putting a couple of points into con, and then just by virtue of being a Dragon Disciple we got some more, and I think our con's actually buffed by 4 points more to con, because we're currently in a dragon form right now. So it's a base 14, 2 points for Dragon Disciple levels, and then 4 for being a dragon right now. Dex, we started with a 16 and we didn't do anything beyond that. And then Strength, we started with, I believe it was a 17, and we've put all of our progression points into Strength. So you can see that we deal good damage, 32 to 46 in total here with our Bite. And then we have both claws dealing 30 to 40. We have 2 wing attacks that deal significant damage, and a tail slam. We have a permanent frightful presence as long as we're in our dragon form, and that lasts for quite a long time. And that's really the core of the build. Turn into a dragon, use your frightful presence. So, when it comes to the feats that we selected, you can see here's the first page, and you can pause it here. and then here's the second page. You can see we went for basically as much cleave as possible. We wanted a lot of cleavage with this character, and just showing a little bit of it there. And the reason that we started with a 16 dex and we're interested in increasing that is we turn into a huge creature that often causes foes to flee from us because of our frightful presence. So we gave ourselves the Combat Reflexes feat, which you can get a lot of mileage out of under the right circumstances. Hi, baby. And Tank Baby came to say hi. And because of the way that we chose our levels, we are, if we look at our spell book, we are an 18th level caster, so we only lost 2 caster levels. And if you look at our martial ability, we actually get 4 attacks per round. So our BAB being a plus 16 is just enough to give us 4 attacks. So with haste, that's 5. So give this person a 2-handed sword, and you're doing pretty well. we got a revolution on our hands here. Hold on a second. I gotta fix things for the Bebis. Where did you go? Yeah, you want some Daniel Tiger? Yeah, we're talking about build strategies with people. Yeah. So you can see it's not a really complicated build, and if you wanted to not put the point in dex and give yourself a little bit more intelligence and go for knockdown, that can be very effective. I've actually built this character counting on getting a Cloak of the Winter Wolf, which we'll pick up eventually through the story. And obviously this is just a concept. We're not going to actually play through the game with the level 20 character. But as you build this character, progressing as a sorcerer, you should be just fine. And then as soon as you get into Dragon Disciple, your stats are going to get a little bit of a boost, but your spellcasting is going to lag behind. But because you started with a very high strength and you're currently increasing it, you should be able to do things like wield a composite longbow. Again, that'll be helpful because you're going to give yourself martial weapons proficiency. And as soon as you start taking levels in Eldritch Knight, you won't need to rely on your spellcasting at all, but you will have all kinds of self-buffs. So if you look at our spell book, here's our level 1 spells, and I won't go too much into describing what those do for us, except to mention that with Spell Critical, when we critically hit, we can launch a Color Spray as a free action, or as a swift action, I should say, which is basically free, and that will... that's just bonus sauce. So if we manage to stun anyone with that, we can deal serious damage to them on the upcoming round with all of our dragon form attacks. Sense Vitals, as always, is essential, and you can see sort of the theme with these spells. Here's our level 3 spells. Again, you can pause to look at any specific one if you want to think, why did I choose that? But level 3 is pretty much a gimme. I almost picked the same spells every time for level 3. Level 4, pretty standard. Level 5, again, you're starting to see the one flavor spell I picked here is Baleful Polymorph. I might not use it very much, but because it has a Fortitude save and it completely destroys an enemy's ability to cast spells, it can be very good against an enemy spellcaster because they tend to have Fortitude as their weakest save. So turn them into a dog and then roast them. Sorry, doggo. I didn't choose the descriptor of Baleful Polymorph. The descriptor of Baleful Polymorph chose me. Transformation! I've talked about this spell. It's bugged right now. It takes away my weapons proficiencies after I use it. Specifically simple and martial weapons proficiency. If you do have an exotic weapons proficiency like Bastard Sword or something that you selected through the feat, you will not lose that one. And that just has to do with how the transformation spell is bugged right now as of the making of this video. It should be a pretty easy fix. It's probably coming with the next major update, but if it's not changed, this is the way it is. I'm not afraid to cast this spell, however, which will give me a few more points to my BAB to help me out. And the reason is I'm focused on my bite attack, and I won't lose my bite attack. I can use my claws, I can use my bites, and then I can transform into a dragon and still get all of those good bonuses. So if I need a few more points to hit, I can use transformation, but I don't need it for number of attacks because I already get the same number of attacks as a level 20 fighter because we actually got up to a plus 16 on our BAB, which gives us our 4th attack. Create Undead, that's sort of a flavor spell, as is Greater Polymorph. I really like the idea that you can turn a party member, or I want to see if it works on a summoned creature, we'll try and test that, into a dragon, so that'll be fun. And then of course Dragonkind 3, which is the core of this build, and Sea Mantle, which gives us a situational plus 8 to our armor class and a bonus to our reflex saves. That is very, very good because it also works against touch attacks. So it works against melee touch attacks and ranged touch attacks. So that does not show up on our character armor class, which is sitting at a 31 after some buffs here. You can see the buffs that we have on ourselves. And again, we have no gear. This is right out of the tutorial. But if we go back to the spellbook, Sea Mantle gives us a plus 8 that's a situational bonus. It's very good, lasts for a minute per level, so that is extremely useful. But again, because we have improved invisibility and blur, we don't need to rely on our armor class, and eventually those two spells are going to be more effective at high level at protecting us from attacks than our armor class. Fiery Body, this is another thing that's at the heart of this build and currently unavailable because, again, we're at only an 18 charisma. We need to have a higher charisma in order to get our bonus level 9 spells in order to be able to cast Fiery Body. But we have it memorized, and you can see the description there. It will be very, very effective for us. Pause now if you want to read that one into the future. Okay. Let's go ahead and get ourselves into some trouble. Get rid of some teammates here. There's this scripted random encounter, and I think the reason this random encounter is in the introduction is sort of to remind you that you have the chance to rest, and then you'll sort of teach yourself how that camping mechanic works. And we're out of our transformation, and you can see that our stock armor class is 21, which is not bad for somebody that's not wearing armor. I think actually we still have the mage armor buff on ourselves because it lasts for an hour per level. But again, braces of armor plus 5 you can find fairly early in the game if you know where to look. So let's just actually attack these things with our dagger. And a smoosh, and a smoosh. And we actually critically hit there. So let's cast a quickened color spray just because we can. That's interesting. It didn't work. Maybe I cannot use... Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. Well, let's turn Arcane Strike on. Arcane Strike allows us to spend a swift action to... maybe it wasn't us that critically hit. Maybe it was Lindsay. I saw a critical hit pop up. It could be that the feature's not working as well. I haven't really tested it. Again, there's a lot of things in Pathfinder Kingmaker that are currently bugged, but with the aggressive rate at which Owlcat Games has been jumping on bugs, and I know that they've created some new ones in the process, and especially the feats and spells of your character are pretty buggy. However, they fixed a lot of the story bugs. The game's playable. Would I recommend it at like a full $60 price? If there was no bugs in this game, I could easily recommend this at a $60 price point. But I think it's going for what, around $25-$30 right now, and I don't know because I pre-ordered it and I got a discount, so I'm not sure what the peasantry is paying right now on Steam, but I'd pay $30 for this game right now. I checked my Steam, I have 400 hours on it, and if you're wondering why I'm rambling now about random stuff, it's because we're loading. And shortly, I'll show you sort of what our strategy is when it comes to combat with this character. In fact, we might as well cast our spells now. We're going to be in combat shortly, and I haven't hotbarred anything, so we're just going to kind of suffer through me manually casting these on myself. Every now and then I like to buff myself, because I know you never know who you're gonna see. Mirror image, again, that's going to be very helpful for us. And when people start modding this game, I would very much appreciate if they would, let's go ahead and cast haste. Once mods start coming to this game, I'd love to see a mod or even an options tab that allows you to turn off the graphical effects for self buffs, because once you start stacking buffs like we do as a higher level sorcerer, things start looking weird pretty fast. I mean, it's cool to look like a blob of death every now and then, but I would like to see my character, and then maybe I could, you know, still enable things for, yeah, angelic aspect is going to give us a +5/good damage reduction, so that's pretty good. And heroism gives us a or greater heroism, I should say, gives us a +4 to our attacks and saves, so that's pretty great. Let's go ahead and create undead. Let's create a guardian armor, and let's see, for one, how long does it take to cast this spell. This is a full round action. Okay, good to know. And there's our guardian armor. He looks pretty cute. I wonder what effects he has in combat. I haven't actually used a guardian. Oh my goodness, look at all the things we can polymorph our friend into. Greater wyvern, silver dragon, heck yes. Oh, we can't use it on a summon. Okay, harem, you're our guinea pig. There we go. Look at you. Doesn't he look cool? He does look pretty cool. Okay, so good to know you cannot cast greater polymorph on a summoned creature. That's too bad. Let's go ahead and also drop a firebrand. This gives our friends immunity, but not summoned creatures. It gives our friends immunity to any fire spells we cast, and also gives them a d6 fire damage on their attacks, which is quite good. We'll recast Sea Mantle on ourselves, so we can be a sea person, and still no level 9 spells. So let's go ahead and transform into a dragon. Let's go for a brass, so that we can be sort of a fire-based draconic personage, and you see our dragon power is much better than our team, than little harem down there. Look at the little fella, the little medium-sized dragon, and here we are, a huge-sized elder dragon copy. And these guys are already frightful presenced. Every one of them failed their save, so they're going to be running for ages from us. And let's just kind of, what am I? Am I chaotic? Good? I can't remember. Don't rob this guy. Yes, please turn hostile so that I might smite thee. So now you're going to see how we do in the combat. Let's go ahead and get you three to back off so that someone could potentially, perhaps, maybe, take a swipe at me. And they're actually all running away because of frightful presence. So apparently that affects your teammates as well. Good to know. And everybody's dead. What happened? I wasn't looking. So they ran. We got them as they left our zone of influence with a attack of opportunity. Hit, sneak attack. Here's our damage. So we rolled a +31 for our attack bonus. That's pretty good, even while power attacking. So another 5 if we turn off power attack. And then if we look at damage, we did a 2d8 +30 on our bite. Not bad. +30 is pretty good, especially considering, again, we've got a bite, 2 claws, 2 wings, and a tail slam. That's 6 attacks, plus haste, so another bite. That's 7 attacks. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. And so you can deal around 300 damage on your turn if you get that sneak attack in. and that's not counting all your attacks of opportunity, because again, with Frightful Presence, people run from you. It's a DC 22 save for this character, so that's something that a lot of enemies can fail at a will save, even later in the game, because it is a will save, and a lot of the tough monsters that could put up a fight in a melee against you will not have the best will saves. Are there any of these baddies left? There's Oleg. Where, Hi, Oleg. Oh, you weren't shooting at me. There's that one bandit who ran away. Let's chase him down, and the sticky bandits are no more. How much damage did we deal there? Only 25. We weren't sneak attacking anymore. Okay, so that Sense Vital spell really helps us out. Oleg, don't run. It's me, your friend. So, there we go. Let's go ahead. You know what? I think we're okay to wait for an attack. Don't you? Oh, as all of our buffs disappear instantaneously with the automatic rest. So, let's test out another thing. As we get into combat here, let's not transform into a dragon, because then everybody just runs away from us. Let's get you three to move yourselves. And also, we have a decent amount of HP, 160 plus our 26 for Greater False Life. So let us now cast Sea Mantle on ourselves. And we'll see if that's working properly, or if we can see that. We managed to preserve the spell. Okay, people have attacked us, so we'll check the Sea Mantle real quick and see how it shows up. Attacks with short sword, miss. So, my armor class, base 10, plus 8 Sea Mantle, dex, natural armor. Okay, cool. So then, of course, I think we actually critically hit, so let's cast a shield on ourselves real quick. Oh my goodness, what did I just do? Oh, I have greater cleaving finish, so I finished off one guy, and then I just cleft through everyone. And again, we're fighting with a dagger. So, this is actually a build that works a lot better with a two-handed weapon, because you get 1.5 times that strength bonus to your damage. But already, you can see that, as you would expect, low-level enemies are no problem at all. But once we equip this character with some decent equipment, you don't even need to transform into a dragon in order to wreck things. But you're really built on that Dragon Form 3 spell, and you have tons and tons of options. And that's something that I really enjoy out of a character build. I would see this build as a total success. It has that wow factor of having just an incredible strength score. I mean, 26 without any kind of enhancement, that's really good. You can pick up another 4 or 6 points from gear, again, fairly early on. And obviously, as you progress through this character, you should fairly consistently notice a couple of things. One, you're not going to have a ton of hit points. For a sorcerer, you'll have a decent amount of hit points. But what you're really counting on is your ability to deal serious damage with your melee attacks. And then you saw how our spells were set up, mostly self-buffs and things that'll keep us from being targeted. As you level through this in the natural progression, you're going to want to have some frontline fighters and then come in along a flank with this character. Wielding a great sword or a long spear would be very useful, because that'll give you some reach. And then as you progress through, giving yourself the cleave feats, that can be very useful. I haven't had a lot of success using the active cleave feature here, the special attack, because it doesn't seem to function the way I want it to. And I don't get attacks of opportunity while using it, which is odd. But power attacking and using cleaving finish, very effective. And with the amounts of damage you can dish out wielding a two-handed weapon, let's go ahead, because we have some time here. Tank Baby's giving us some time. Yeah, talk about how things is and how they be and how you do. And let's get on out. I love how everybody runs away from me when I turn into a dragon. It's like they travel with me, they know me, and then as soon as I turn into a dragon, they're just like, ah! And they run right away. I also like how this is the only bed we can sleep in. I mean, it makes sense, but it's kind of like you claim the bunk when you get into the room. It's like, mine, I get top bunk. And yeah, get out of here. I don't trust you for some odd reason. And all I want to do now, is see you turn into a giant dragon, Actually, what I want to do is go downstairs and buy a regular greatsword and see what we're able to do with that. So let's go ahead, hi Honoriel, and go buy a greatsword. And then we can ditch our party members too, because that'll be even better for us. Show me your wares! Also, check my gold out. Yeah, I edited. This is a test file. Again, don't play the game like this, but let's go ahead and maybe a falchion, huh? So, let's have a masterwork, Earthbreaker, Estoque, Falcata, falchion. Falchion is basically a two-handed equivalent of the rapier. You have a really good critical threat range, which is good for us. Could you imagine us wielding a keen falchion? So as you see, a base 18 to 20 critical threat range. Now we could even give ourselves improved critical falchion if you really wanted to build this as a strong character, but I kind of caution you with that because I've played through a good portion of the game and I haven't seen any really good falchions. So that is something to keep in mind, that you might not want to commit to using a falchion or any of those more obscure weapons that the game developers didn't think to salt the game world with really neat versions of for you. But that critical threat range, though, just by virtue of the fact that, see, you can crit on 3 different rolls, so you should be able to crit on 6 rolls if it's a keen falchion or an improved critical falchion. So that seems pretty awesome. Let's go find some trouble. Alrighty, and you can hear the Daniel Tiger's neighborhood getting closer to us, so my apologies, but I am a full-time stay-at-home dad, so I do have a limited amount of opportunities to make these videos with you guys. Oh, we just got some story stuff going on here. You know what? I should probably go. Okay, yeah. Let's get into combat. So we have a regular falchion now, which gives us a pretty good critical threat range. We're gonna go find something to cut with it, and we'll just see how that would work out for us, just to get a taste of how you would use this character concept. And again, obviously, level 20 is not how you're going to start the game if you're going to have any kind of fun. But, ooh, hey, could we maybe encounter a certain person out here? I should greatly enjoy taking them down. Alrighty, random encounter. So how would you use this character as a second wave attacker? It's pretty simple. I think this is a strategy that I've talked about before, where you send in the rest of your party, and then once everybody's engaged, you send in this second wave attacker, and what do we have? Some bandits. Okay, let's see how hard we hit with this falchion. We are power attacking, and let's go ahead and activate Arcane Strike as well. Interesting that we have to continue to manually use that one. We hit for 37, not bad. And the Conjurer, 35, not bad at all. And again, this is totally unbuffed, and we get 4 attacks per round, just as though we were a maximum level fighter. So that's pretty good. and a 38. We didn't manage to critically hit with any of those, but we do have Cornigon Smash as well as one of our feats, so we're also demoralizing these people after we cut them in half with our Falchion. Anyway, that has been a quick look at what has turned out to be one of my favorite character builds so far. I remember greatly enjoying this Eldritch Knight Dragon Disciple combo when I was playing Neverwinter Nights, and this is pretty much the same build as that, only updated for Pathfinder. 6 levels of Sorcerer gives us enough spellcasting to do well, and it also progresses our Dragon Bloodline, which doesn't end up being all that useful for us. It'd be nice to take one more level of Sorcerer, or one more level of Sorcerer. Why do we only take 4 levels of Dragon Disciple? Why not go for 5? Because at 5th level Dragon Disciple, you do not gain a Spellcaster level, so I want those Spellcaster levels. I go for Sorcerer, and you also don't get a whole lot of good stuff out of going for another level of Dragon Disciple. 4 levels is kind of the sweet spot. Anything more than that, and you start losing more spellcasting power and not getting a whole lot in return for it. Especially considering that this spell exists and it makes us immune to fire damage. In fact, we heal from fire attacks, and we're immune to blindness, critical hits, ability score damage, disease, electricity, poison. That would be all poison effects, including Cloud Kill, and Stunning. Wow. And we get Acid Resist 30, and we take 1.5 times damage from Cold. Not a whole lot of cold spells and effects, so I'm not really worried about that. You get a +6 to your dex. Unarmed attacks deal another 3d6 points of fire damage, and yes, that works when you're in your dragon form. So, a fiery body Elder Dragon with a sea mantle. At that point, would it be a tea mantle because we're boiling it? I'm sure there's some herbs in our pouch somewhere we can turn that into a tea mantle with. I'm totally happy with that. So, this dragon lady, tea girl, is just going around destroying the universe with her powerful, large, slashy object there. Anyway, guys, if I do start a new game of Pathfinder, which could very well happen, I might bring out this character build, or maybe I'll build a mercenary version of it. Maybe with a few less points in dex. Yeah, I could dump a few points to dex, or even con. I could drop down by a couple of points and build a mercenary out of this. Because again, you're going to get 5 less character points when you're building a mercenary. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed this one, and if you use this one, let me know what it's done for you. I just absolutely love characters that can jump into a melee and use their regular attack to deal serious damage, and turning into a dragon is one of my favorite things to do. And with the powerful spells you can cast as this one, I didn't even touch on the fact that we can cast empowered spells, which should be very fun for things like Fireball. Who doesn't love an empowered Fireball? Anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.